Hi, my loves. So it's been a while since I did a video, and I just wanted to come back and catch you guys up to date and complete the series that I was doing um, about my journey so far with losing my place and having to start all over again. So I wanted to just come on and share the last part of this entire journey that I've been going through for the last, I want to say, 3 months. Um, so today's November 2nd, and I basically just wanted to kind of finish off on where I am now and how I got to where I am, which is a place where I'm staying with a girl who is now my roommate. And we met at the job that I got in the middle of me not having a place to live, um, which is crazy. Okay, so where did I leave off? I think I was talking about the fact that I had moved all of my stuff out, and now I'm at this point, so back in, I want to say like September, I was going from Airbnb to Airbnb. I stayed with two people that I knew, but I did not have like a really good relationship or a strong connection or relationship with, but I didn't know anyone out here. So these are people that I met like randomly in passing. And we happened to have exchanged numbers at the time. So I reached back out to them in my time of need and I said, hey, would it be possible if I could come, just stay a few days while I'm looking for a more stable place to live? So during this time, I was trying to find rooms that I could rent until I could get back on my feet. And I couldn't find anything. So I was staying at an Airbnb very far out from where I wanted to be or where my last living situation was, which was in Phoenix. And now I am somewhere out in Scottsdale, not right now, but during the time when I was um, displaced from my living situation. So I'm out in Scottsdale. I'm trying to find rooms to rent back in Phoenix, and I'm reaching out to the only two souls that I know in Phoenix at the time. And one of them allowed me to come stay with them, and that didn't work out, and it turned into a really ugly situation. And I felt I needed to leave that because I didn't feel safe, and I didn't want to jeopardize or compromise my integrity. So I reached out to the second person, the second soul that I knew, who I felt a little more safer with. Um, and I reached out to this person and they allowed me to come stay with them. And while I was staying with them, it was a very confusing environment to be in because I thought I was welcomed, and one thing led to another, and this individual just became someone who wasn't stable emotionally and or mentally, and it caused her to tell me to leave the morning the next morning, after only staying for a 24-hour period, and this person had stated the night before that she would allow me to stay a few days. So the next morning, she then recanted what she said and told me to leave that morning. So I am now having to leave this individual's place who I thought I could count on during a time of need. So now I didn't have a place to stay. And so I had to figure out, okay, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? So I get back online, try and figure out a good Airbnb that I could stay at. And this is what really propelled me to get to where I am currently. So that morning, I left to another Airbnb. And that situation was interesting because there are two Airbnbs in the Phoenix area that I felt comfortable reaching out to. One of them wasn't able to place my reservation because they were out of town. So the other one accepted my reservation, and it was the best decision that I feel God provided for me. So I move. So I get to this Airbnb. Obviously, this situation wasn't easy. I was upset. I was crying. I didn't understand why this person told me one thing and then decided to change their mind within less than 12 hours of what they first told me that they were willing to help me with. So hearing that really shocked me and really just put me on a whole different path than what I thought I was going to be pursuing, the path that I thought I would be walking towards in order to get back on my feet. But everything happens for a reason. Everything is meant for your good, even if it doesn't look like it is for your good. What I've learned about this life is that the bad things that happen to us are actually setting us up for even better things. So I leave this woman's house who obviously just did not, one, trust me, but two, felt like I was someone who would be able to get back on her feet. I felt that this person, and this is no knock to them, but this is my experience. I felt that because of my Blackness, and yeah, I'll just leave it at that. I felt because of my Blackness that this individual just thought I would stay in their home and not, get back on my feet and not find my own grounding. And I felt very judged by them, to be honest. While I was staying there, even though they didn't say anything, I could just, the energy was there of, and there was some evidence of just how she viewed me in the short amount of time that I reached out to her for her help. So being in that situation really upset me and made me feel very judged. And I don't even know what other word I could use, but that. So I get to this Airbnb and it is such a fresh breath of air. It felt so peaceful and so relaxing, and it definitely held the energy of everything that I am, which is someone who is just spiritual, someone who was um, easygoing, and someone who just knew that there wasn't anything to worry about because there was a sense of peace there. And literally, the person that I stayed with at this Airbnb, the host of the Airbnb, was literally these things. She was someone who was spiritual, someone who was peaceful, someone who was easygoing, someone who really had a strong sense of who they were and had a very welcoming presence, and very non-critical, very non-judgmental, and very motherly and very caring, which these are, and I want to say I'm very nurturing. So these are aspects of me. And I think it was just so funny how the thing that I needed from someone at this time was these things. Someone who was supportive, someone who was thoughtful, someone who was caring. And this is where Spirit led me, which is crazy. Spirit led me, God led me to someone who would be willing to just be there for me in my time of need and not judge me based on my outer appearance or based on my condition at the moment, which was totally out of my control. So I get to this Airbnb. I'm happy. I feel safe. I feel relaxed. I feel not on edge or not on eggshells, because that's how I was feeling when I stayed with this other person who I thought was someone I could look to for help while I was going through what I was going through. So I had this Airbnb for a week, and honestly, even though, so during this time, I was going through quite a bit. I was trying to find a place to live. I was trying to also find a job, and I couldn't do both at the same time. So I just focused on, and so at this point, I was so emotionally exhausted, and to be honest, just mentally exhausted as well. So I really didn't have the strength to balance the two, to find a home, to find work, and try and maintain the frame of mind to cook for myself, to bathe myself, and to go out and, buy groceries and get items that I might need to support myself while staying at this Airbnb. So just the daily tasks of life were definitely hard for me because all of my energy and all of my focus was on trying to find a place for me to live, a more permanent place, a more stable place for me to live. And at this time, I'm not working, so my income is dwindling, or I have very little income to my name. So what do I do? So I decided that I would take, so actually what I did was I pushed myself to find a way to find work. So to find a way to find work or to find work. So so I decided that I would just go online and apply to as many jobs as possible and do what I could do. But I also decided that I needed to rest and I needed to take time to just heal, from the experience that I just went through, and mentally, emotionally heal from what I just experienced, and mentally heal, give my mind time to relax so that I could have the energy to start looking for work. And during this time, there were some people in my life that I would turn to who would kind of sort of be I don't know a sounding board. So just talking to them and kind of telling them what was going on, and really trying to just get advice and I guess emotional support at the time, which was great because I got the support that I needed that propelled me to continue, because at this moment in my life, it was very difficult for me to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm gonna try and just kind of make this as a shorter story than possible than what I've been making it. So during this time, it was very difficult for me to look for work because I just did not have the strength or the willpower until I would speak to people I trusted, people that I felt that I could open up to, that were in my life during this time. And I got guided to, take things one day at a time, and to not overwhelm myself with so much, which is what I can do when things aren't when my life isn't what I want it to be, or when I don't think things are working out for me in my life. I can tend to overwhelm myself. I can tend to overdo it and push myself to very I want to say exhausting limits, or extreme circumstances, extreme situations, just because I'm trying to overcompensate for my reality. And honestly, that is not what God wants us to do. That is not the way life is meant for us to live. We are not here to overcompensate our abilities or our inabilities, or overcompensate for anything. And that was part of the lesson that I learned during this unforeseen time in my life. So I had to learn to take things as they come. I had to learn to take one action at a time. So that looked like, if I needed to rest for the day, that was the only thing that I needed to focus on for that day, is rest, in order for me to be able to give to my life for the next day. And so the next day, if the next day consisted of me needing to get groceries in order to fuel my body so that I could be nourished and supported for the following day, that is all I focused on for the next day, or that moment, which was to just make sure I had the food I needed to supply myself with nourishment and energy and good health. So that is all I would focus on for that day, just making sure I did my grocery shopping and cooking for myself. And then the next day, I would have the energy to look for work. So I would look at things that I wanted to, that I could see myself doing, that I already knew I had experience doing. So that would be possibly, working in the social behavioral field. So I would apply to jobs that consisted of the skill set that I had and the interest that I had as well. So if I was interested in something, I would apply to it. If I felt a pull or a joy to do the type of work that that I was interested in, I would apply to those. And that would be the only task that I would give myself for that day. And through this, I was able to find work that made me feel excited, that made me feel good being there, and that I didn't feel overwhelmed or unhappy at. So through that, I was able to find something, and being able to just listen to some of the people that were guiding me during this time in my life, people who I was able to talk to, who were there for me as supporting roles. Also really was what got me to be able to get to a place where I could just say, okay, I'm going to focus on this one task for the day, which led me to the opportunity for the job that I'm at now. But not only that, it was also just seeing my circumstances, knowing that there was really nothing that I could do, because I was doing everything that I could do, and nothing seemed to be falling into place as far as finding a place to live and finding what it is that I wanted in the kind of living situation that I was looking for. So at this time, money wasn't an issue money was an issue, but so what am I trying to say? So not having connections was the issue, not knowing people, not having a lot of connections in the area that I live in, because I've only been here for, at the time when I was looking for a whole new place to stay, from being displaced from my previous apartment, I didn't know anyone. I had no one. So so other than trying to find places online, and everything was a dead end. Like literally, I would find places, I would call people, and it would be a dead end, or places were already taken, or they were too far, they were too out of reach for where I wanted to be. So it's like, what do you do when you've done everything as far as like the world tells you to do, which was doing the work, going online and looking for places, calling people, emailing people, making phone calls, which I've already said, and waiting for their responses, and just hitting a roadblock after another roadblock. So me and my spiritual self decided that, okay, it's not about the money. I didn't need someone to give me money. And I'm doing everything that I thought I was supposed to do, and nothing was working out. So I am being very, I'm doing things very societal or society oriented. So I'm living according to the world. And the word tells us that we shouldn't live according to the world's standards, but we are meant to live out of the world, or not like the world has taught us to live. So at this time, I go within and I start to pray, and I start to ask for guidance. And I'm talking to God, and I'm letting him know, this is where I'm at. This is what is going on. I need your help. I need guidance. I've done everything that I'm supposed to do. I don't know what else you want me to do. Please help me. Please show me the way. This is my literal conversation with God. And in this time, I hear a very, very soft, gentle voice tell me to trust me. That's what I heard. And I said, okay, I'm going to trust you. And then I let this voice know it's hard because I don't see I don't see a way out. I don't see how I'm going to get out of this, because places aren't available. I don't also have the money. So I don't see how I'm going to get out of this. Hold on one second. But my intuition, just told me to be obedient to the voice that I heard, which was just to trust me, is what I heard. So that's what I did, even though it was the hardest thing to do. I did that, and at the same time, I still didn't give up. I kept showing up for myself. I kept doing the work, even though I felt deep within me that this wasn't the way it was going. I felt deep within me that this wasn't the way I was going to find a place for myself to live, which was through, you know, doing online apartment searches and using Craigslist and other shady platforms of the sort, and other legitimate platforms as well. So even though I knew deep within myself that this wasn't the way I was going to find a place to stay or a place to live, I just kept going with the journey. I kept going with the action of finding a place to live. So days would go by and I would continue to go within, silence my thoughts, because I would have negative thoughts come in, and I would doubt myself. I would doubt my reality. I would doubt if things would actually physically work out for me, or if I would end up in a situation that I didn't want to see myself in, which was, to be honest with you, homelessness. Having to go to a homeless shelter or something of the sort during this time in my life, which was absolutely not what I wanted. So what I would do is I would go within and I would pray and I would speak the reality that I wanted for myself, which was to find a safe place to live, to live with someone who I felt comfortable with, someone who I felt safe with, to live in a clean neighborhood, and just to not have to deal with someone who smokes, or someone who had any pets, because these were the aspects of the reality that I wanted for myself. So these were the things that I would pray for and request from God for, and held hope and faith for, that would come into my life, or that I would be able to find. And so over a period of 2 months, I was able to, I actually less than that. So what happened was that during this time, the person that I was living with at the Airbnb allowed me to stay with her for an additional month. And while staying at her Airbnb, I was able to find a job, and this was what God had given me, was the resources that I needed to be able to take care of myself. I'm sorry, I'm thinking while I'm talking, so that's why I'm kind of pausing while I'm speaking. And so I had a place to stay for a month, and then within that month, I was able to secure a job, a part-time position that would bring me in some money that I could survive on and save up while trying to find a better place to stay. And so once I had that, I was also praying and looking for places. And like I said, nothing was coming up. And through my time of prayer and meditation, um, I received guidance from God to trust him and to trust the process, and so I did. And with that, after the month of me being there, I had to leave because I needed to find another Airbnb, and this place was just a temporary solution to not end up in a homeless shelter, to not end up out on the streets of Phoenix, Arizona. So I was able to continue having other Airbnbs to stay at. And that was a hard time as well, because now I no longer have a stable place to stay and I still have to work. And now I'm going from Airbnb to Airbnb. And throughout this experience, I was still seeking the guidance of God. I was still very spiritually in tune with myself and with God. And I was receiving guidance all along the way, even though I wasn't confident, even though I wasn't sure of myself, even though I didn't know what I was doing. And even despite what my reality was showing me, which was not what I wanted, or what I thought it should be. So with this job, and at this time, I was just talking to as many people as I could and just letting them know, like, this is what I'm going through. And I needed, like, if you know of any places, or if you know of any resources that could support me during this time, I'm open to it. So just speaking and just letting the universe know, letting your I don't know how to say this, but letting your environment and your surroundings and your community know about your needs, or just speaking up and expressing yourself about what it is that you could use support in, is another um another form of God supplying you in your most darkest hour without you even knowing it. It's another way of God showing up in your life and allowing life to work on your behalf. So I say that because at this time, I was, like I said, I was talking to random strangers about what was going on with me and where I was at in my life at the time. And at the place I was working, I would go to this cafe stand, and there was a bunch of girls who were just hanging out because we all work at at this shopping complex. And there was one particular person who I just felt a connection with, and I had been speaking about what I was going through, and we just striked up a conversation, and it had nothing to do with what I was going through. It actually had to do with just some common things, like how we were both looking to start a business, and I had told her, like, I already had a business, and we were both in the same field about spiritual work and coaching and things of that sort. and she had told me a few things about herself, and we just hit it off, and I shared with her what my current situation was and what I was going through, and how much I really just wanted to be able to focus on being present for my business, and how passionate I was about just spirituality, and just evolving spiritually, and being a better, being a boss babe and being an entrepreneur. And she was on the same frequency. She was on the same energy, um, vibe as as I was. And she, ooh, excuse me, one second.